You know that feeling? Waking up totally charged, like you've got a real mission for the day, and knowing what you do actually matters.
Yeah, that's the goal, isn't it?
Totally. Well, this deep dive is all about cracking open the source code for making that feeling stick, making it a reality in your life.
Right. Today, we're really digging into Simon Sinek's Start With Why. And look, this isn't just a book report, okay?
No, definitely not.
We're aiming to extract the, the vital DNA of his ideas, those actionable bits that move this stuff from just knowing it in your head to really feeling it.
Getting it in your gut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We want to go beyond just saying know your why and actually grasp how it fuels real success, real inspiration.
Because Sinek really throws down this fundamental challenge, doesn't he? He asks, why do we do what we do?
Uh-huh.
What's the point? What's the real significance? And maybe the big one. Why should anyone else care?
That's the kicker.
So over the next little while, we're going to try and equip you, our listener, to answer those questions, not just in theory, but in a way that actually connects with what you're trying to build or do.
Yeah, we'll be unpacking the sheer power of starting with why.
And also the pitfalls, right? Like how easily we get tripped up by assumptions.
Oh, definitely. And why manipulation, carrots and sticks just falls flat compared to genuine inspiration.
And of course, the core framework, the golden circle. Why, how, what.
We'll get into that. Plus, we'll look at the deeper stuff like the biology behind why this why thing resonates so much. It's almost primal.
Interesting.
Then, okay, inspiration's great, but how do you make it real? That means clarity, discipline, and consistency. We need to talk about those.
In trust, how that emerges from shared beliefs, not just orders.
Exactly. We'll look at how movements tip, why you absolutely need those how types, the implementers, alongside the visionaries.
Right, the practical side.
Making sure the what you do actually lines up with the why and the how. And, surprisingly important, the power of just listening.
And we're not stopping there. We've also got to tackle how success itself can mess things up.
Yeah, when the why gets fuzzy. Sinek calls it split happens.
We'll unpack that. Plus, how to actually find your why.
Which isn't about inventing it.
No, discovering it. And a different way to think about competition. It all circles back to why, starting with why, is, well, everything according to Sinek.
So our mission here is simple.
Yeah.
Give you a clear, really usable understanding of these ideas. Use some good examples.
Make it stick.
Yeah, so you can start applying it right away, get a real handle on it, without feeling like you're drowning in jargon or theory.
Okay, let's dive in. Sinek really sets the scene, doesn't he? This idea that starting with why is actually pretty rare.
It is. And one of the first traps he points out is just how dangerous our assumptions can be. We make them all the time without even realizing.
Yeah, that example he uses comparing Hitler and Kennedy. It's designed to make you stop and think, isn't it?
It really is. You hear this description, new leader, decorated general present, and your mind probably jumps to Kennedy.
Rain did, yeah.
It shows how our brains just want to take these shortcuts, fill in the blanks based on patterns we think we know.
And Sinek's point isn't about equating them morally, obviously, but about showing that bias.
Exactly. It's about exposing how we leap to conclusions. And those leaps, while they feel efficient, can lead us way off track. Personally, in business, everywhere.
It's like people assuming for centuries the sun went around the earth.
Yeah.
Seemed logical, but totally wrong and held back understanding.
That's a great analogy. It's the same kind of limiting assumption.
Yeah.
And you see it in business constantly.
Like assuming customers only care about price.
Right. So you build your whole strategy around being the cheapest, and you miss the chance to build any real connection. There's no loyalty there.
Which ties right into his points about manipulation versus inspiration, the whole carrots and sticks approach.
Yeah, we're swimming in it, aren't we? Sales, discounts, buy one, get one. It's the standard playbook.
Oh, sure, it works. Kinda. For a bit. You get that Black Friday rush.
Uh-huh.
But Sinek really questions if it builds anything lasting. If someone comes for the discount, they'll leave for the next discount, right?
Absolutely. It's purely transactional. There's no deeper connection being built.
What I found interesting was his take on how these tactics work, often by playing on our fears or our desire for a quick win.
Like those complicated mail-in rebates, they're almost designed hoping you won't bother.
Yeah. It feels a bit sneaky, not exactly inspiring trust.
Not at all. It feels hollow. It's not a foundation for anything real.
Okay, so if manipulation is a dead end for loyalty, what's the alternative? That's where the golden circle comes in, right? The why, how, what. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, the golden circle. It's like deceptively simple, but really powerful for understanding how inspiring leaders and companies communicate.
Yeah.
So most companies The vast majority, they operate from the outside in. They start with what they do. We sell these widgets.
Right. Here are the features.
Exactly. Then maybe they'll talk about how they do it differently. Our widgets have this special process, but very, very rarely do they clearly articulate why they're even doing it beyond, making money.
So the typical pitch is all logical. Here's our thing. Here's why it's good. Buy it. Appeals to the rational brain.
Right, the neocortex.
Yeah.
But Sinek argues, and I think he's spot on, that the truly inspiring organizations flip that whole model.
They start with why.
They lead with why, their core purpose,
Yeah.
their driving belief. Then they talk about how they bring that belief to life, their unique methods, their values in action, and only then do they get to what the products, the services, is the tangible proof of their why.
Apple's Think Different is the classic example he uses, isn't it?
It's perfect. They didn't lead with, buy our computers, they have X gigabytes. They led with a belief. We believe in challenging the status quo, in thinking differently.
That was the why.
That was the why. The how was through beautiful design, simple interfaces. And the what? Oh yeah, they happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? It comes last.
And the impact of that isn't just clever marketing, is it? Sinek digs into the biology, why that approach actually works on a deeper level.
Yes, this is critical. He maps the golden circle onto the brain. The what speaks to the neocortex rational thought, language.
Sure.
But the why and the how, they connect with the limbic brain. That's where emotions, behavior, trust, loyalty, all that gut feeling stuff comes from. And crucially, the limbic brain has no capacity for language.
So when Apple says think different, it's not hitting the analytical part first. It's going straight for the feeling, the gut.
Exactly. It bypasses the need for a feature list and connects on an emotional level.
Yeah.
It just feels right to the people who share that value, even if they can't immediately explain why in logical terms.
It makes me think of Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech.
Perfect example Sinek uses.
It wasn't a 10-point plan. It was pure why, a vision.
Absolutely. He painted a picture of a desired future, tapping directly into people's deepest hopes and values, their limbic brains. That's what sparks action. That's what builds movements. We often make the gut decision first, then rationalize it.
The why drives the decision. The what just gives us the words to justify it later.
You got it.
Okay, but just having a great why isn't enough, is it?
Yeah.
You can't just inspire people and hope for the best. Sinek talks about needing more.
Oh, definitely. Inspiration without execution is just a nice idea. That's where clarity, discipline, and consistency become absolutely essential.
Right, the pillars to make it real.
Exactly. Clarity why means you understand your purpose so deeply you can state it simply. Everyone gets it.
No ambiguity.
None. Then discipline of how means you rigorously stick to your values, your guiding principles in everything you do. No cutting corners when it gets tough.
Okay.
And consistency of what means everything you produce, every product, service, communication, has to genuinely reflect that why and how. It needs to feel authentic, always.
Harley-Davidson comes to mind. They're not just selling bikes.
Not at all. They're selling freedom, rebellion, a whole lifestyle. That's their why.
And everything they do reinforces that. The bike designs, the sound, the community, the marketing.
It's perfectly consistent. That clarity, discipline, and consistency over decades is what builds that incredible loyalty. People tattoo the logo on themselves.
Yeah, that's commitment.
But when companies lose that clarity, when the why gets muddy, actions become inconsistent. Trust erodes, though what starts to feel disconnected.
They become reactive, maybe chasing trends instead of sticking to their purpose.
Precisely. And that brings us to trust. Sinek argues you can't just manufacture trust.
It's not a marketing campaign.
No. It emerges. It grows organically when people see their own values reflected in your consistent actions, in your why.
Southwest Airlines is a good case study here, isn't it?
A great one. Their why was about democratizing the skies, making air travel accessible and fun for everyone.
Right. Freedom for the common person.
And people connected with that. Their how no frills, point-to-point, great culture, and their what affordable flights were perfectly aligned. That built huge trust.
So when you have that trust, people cut you some slack, right? They forgive mistakes.
Absolutely. Loyalty runs deep.
Mm-hmm.
But without that shared belief,
Wow.
that trust, every little slip up just confirms suspicion.
Okay, so this powerful why, fueled by trust, how does it actually spread? How do you get from a core idea to a real movement? Sinek talks about a tipping point.
Yeah, and it links back to how ideas diffuse. You don't need everyone at first. You need the early adopters.
The innovators, the ones who jump in early.
Exactly. The visionaries, the ones who buy into the belief, the why, before there's widespread proof for social validation, they get it on a gut level.
They're driven by that feeling you mentioned earlier.
Right. If you can inspire them, they become your advocates. Then the early majority, more pragmatic folks start to pay attention because they trust the early adopters.
But even for them, the initial pull is still emotional, isn't it? The logic comes later.
Often, yes. The why creates the spark. Think again about MLK's speech.
Yeah.
He wasn't laying out logistical plans for the march right there. He was igniting the belief, the shared dream. The emotion came first.
The why galvanized people, the how, the organizing, the logistics followed from that shared conviction.
Precisely. Too many try to lead with the plan, the how, or the product, the what, and wonder why nobody's inspired. It starts with that emotional resonance of the why.
Okay, so you've got the why, it's spreading, people are feeling it, but you mentioned execution. Sinek highlights this crucial partnership, the why types and the how types.
Yes, this is so important. You need both.
Yeah.
The why type is the visionary, the dreamer, the one who articulates the inspiring purpose.
Right, Steve Jobs.
Classic why type. But the vision needs to be built. That's where the how type comes in, the builder, the operator, the detail-oriented person who figures out how to make the vision a reality.
Steve Wozniak, in that Apple example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or Herb Kelleher at Southwest, the charismatic why, needed his amazing operations team, the how, to actually run the airline efficiently and make the low fares possible.
It's like the architect and the builder. Need both.
You absolutely do.
Yeah.
The why provides the direction and the passion. The how provides the structure and the capability. They're indispensable partners.
So with the why providing direction and the how providing the means, how does the what the actual stuff you do or sell fit in perfectly?
The what becomes the proof.
Yeah.
It's the tangible result of your why lived through your how. And Sinek argues that the best organizations don't just hire for skill, for the what.
They hire for belief.
Yes. They look for people who genuinely believe in the company's why. Skills can often be taught, but belief, that intrinsic alignment, that's gold.
So Apple wouldn't just hire a brilliant engineer, they'd hire a brilliant engineer who also resonates with that think different ethos.
Ideally, yes. Because someone who believes in the why isn't just doing a job, they're on a mission. They bring passion, commitment.
Makes total sense. They're intrinsically motivated.
Right. And when you get that alignment, why, how, what, all reinforcing each other, including the people, that's when you get a really powerful, authentic culture and output.
No, something you mentioned earlier, listening. Sinek puts a lot of emphasis on that, maybe even more than on articulating the why. Why is listening so critical?
Because true communication isn't just talking at people, it's connection. And connection starts with understanding.
For understanding the audience.
Deeply understanding them. What do they value? What do they already believe? What are their hopes, their fears, their dreams? The best communicators, the best leaders, they listen first.
They tune into the frequency of the audience before they start broadcasting.
Beautifully put. They find that common ground, those shared values, and then they frame their why in a way that resonates with what's already there in the hearts and minds of the people they want to reach.
So again, MLK wasn't inventing the desire for equality. He was tapping into something profound that already existed and giving it voice.
Exactly. He listened to the heartbeat of a movement and amplified it. It wasn't just his dream. It became their dream articulated.
So the takeaway for anyone trying to lead or influence is listen more than you talk, understand before you try to be understood.
Fundamentally, yes. Make your message about them and how your why connects with their world.
Okay, now here's a twist Sinek introduces. Success itself can actually be a threat to the why. How does that work? Seems counterintuitive.
It does, doesn't it? But think about it. When an organization starts out, the why is often crystal clear, intensely felt, usually embodied by the founder. It's the driving force.
Yeah, it's everything.
But as it grows, gets bigger, achieves success, other pressures creep in, focus shifts. Maybe it becomes more about hitting quarterly numbers, managing complexity, expanding market share.
The original mission can get diluted.
It can. The why might still be on the wall plaque, but it might not be driving every decision anymore. Sinek suggests this might have happened with Walmart over time.
Sam Walton's original why seemed to be about serving the customer, bringing value to small towns.
Arguably, yes. But as it became this global behemoth, did the primary driver subtly shift more towards profit maximization, maybe sometimes at the expense of that original service ethos? It's a question Sinek raises.
So the very success fueled by the why can create conditions that obscure it, like a compass getting interference.
Exactly. It requires constant, conscious effort from leadership to keep that why front and center, to filter decisions through it, even when things are going well by conventional measures. Success without purpose can feel empty and ultimately isn't sustainable.
And when that why does get fuzzy, Sinek talks about the split happening. What's the split?
The split is when that alignment, we talked about why, how, what starts to break down, the organization loses its clarity.
Things get disconnected.
Yeah. Maybe the marketing team is saying one thing, product development is doing another, sales is chasing deals that don't really fit the core mission. The how and the what start to drift away from the original why.
So you lose that cohesive direction. Different parts of the ship are trying to sail in slightly different directions.
That's a good way to put it. The why is the North Star. When it dims or people stop looking at it, the organization can lose its way, even if it's still making money. It becomes less effective, less inspiring. It needs constant vigilance to keep everything tethered to that core purpose.
Okay, it's clear understanding the why is crucial. But how do you find it, especially if it's gotten fuzzy? Sinek says you don't invent it.
You discover it. That's key. It's not a branding exercise where you brainstorm catchy mission statements.
It's already there.
It's already there, embedded in your past. You have to look back. For an organization, it's often in the origin story, the founder's passion, the initial problems you set out to solve.
The core values that were present from the start.
Exactly. For an individual, it's about digging into your own life experiences. What moments really shaped you? What themes keep recurring? What values have consistently guided your choices, even implicitly?
So it's like archaeology digging through your history to find that bedrock reason for being.
Precisely. It takes reflection, maybe talking to people who knew you or the organization early on. The authentic why has power because it's real. It's part of your DNA, not something manufactured.
All right, final big idea from Sinek we should touch on. Competition. He flips the script on this too.
Yeah, this is really interesting. He argues that focusing too much on beating the competition is actually a distraction.
How so? Isn't business about winning?
In a sense, but Sinek suggests that when you're obsessed with your competitors, you start playing their game. You react to their moves, you benchmark yourself against them. And in doing that, you can lose sight of your own why, your own path.
So you end up defining yourself by what you're not, or by how you compare, rather than by who you are and what you stand for.
Exactly. Look at Apple again. They generally haven't seemed overly obsessed with matching every feature of their competitors. Their focus seems more internal. How can we push boundaries? How can we better fulfill our mission of empowering individuals through technology?
So the real competition is yourself. Trying to be better today than you were yesterday at living your why.
That's the essence of it. Striving to improve your own game, to have a greater impact based on your own purpose. Success becomes less about market share and more about how well you're advancing your cause, how truly you're living your why.
It's about being the best for the world, maybe, not just the best in the world.
That captures it perfectly. It's a much more sustainable and arguably more meaningful way to operate, driven by purpose, not just by rivalry.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. Bringing together everything from this deep dive into start with why, the core message really lands, doesn't it?
It really does. That lasting success, the kind that feels meaningful, whether it's you personally or your company, it doesn't start with what you do.
Or even how you do it, not really.
No. It begins with knowing, truly understanding why you do it. That purpose, that belief, that's the source.
That's what inspires you, and it's what inspires other people to connect with you, to be loyal in a way that goes beyond just the transaction.
Yeah, and we saw how easily assumptions can lead us astray, thinking about those leadership examples, or the early days of flight, like the Wright brothers versus Langley.
Right, Langley had the funding, the what, but the Wright brothers had the passion, the why.
Exactly. And we saw why manipulation discounts, pressure tactics, only buys short-term compliance, not long-term belief. And Black Friday versus real brand love.
And the Golden Circle gave us that framework, why, how, what. Apple's Think Different being such a clear example of leading with purpose.
We touched on the biology, why that why hits our limbic brain, our gut feeling.
Yeah,
And the need for clarity, discipline, consistency to make it real, like Harley-Davidson's unwavering rebel spirit.
Plus, how trust grows from that consistency, from shared values, Southwest making flying possible for more people.
We look at how movements tip, often starting with emotion, like MLK's dream igniting millions.
And that crucial partnership. The visionary why person needs the practical how person. Jobs needed was. Kelleher needed his ops team.
Right. Hiring people who believe what you believe. The power of truly listening before you speak.
And the dangers, too. How success can make you forget your why, leading to that split.
Yeah, thinking about potential shifts at giants like Walmart, and how finding your why is about discovery, digging into your past.
And finally, shifting focus from crushing competitors to just being better at your own mission, like Apple often seems to do.
It's a complete way of looking at things.
Okay, so here's something to chew on as you go about your day. Really think about it. What core beliefs, what values actually drive you? What's the underlying purpose behind what you do? Big stuff, small stuff, work, hobbies, relationships. And then think, what would happen if you brought that why right to the forefront?
How could it change things?
Exactly. Could it give you more clarity, more fulfillment? And could it maybe inspire the people around you in ways you haven't even considered yet? Just ponder how understanding your why could redraw the map for you, personally and professionally.